I want to share with you today a tool that we use to envision our leaders for discipleship and multiplication in discipleship and fulfilling the Great Commission. Adapted this from a tool called the 4 Kinds of Disciples by a friend of mine, Ben Armacost with AIM Trainers. And so I want to share this with you today. So there's 4 levels of discipleship. And the first level are people that are spectators or attenders. These are people that don't witness, they don't start new groups, and they don't train disciples. And really, because of this, there's no kingdom growth. And we want them to go to that next level where they start to become witnesses. Now, I think the statistics say that maybe 80 to 85% of Christians are in the spectator area, and maybe 10 to 15% would be in the witness area. Witnesses are people that share the gospel. They go after the lost. They're committed to doing that, and because they only take new converts and bring them to existing groups or churches and don't train disciples, there's only really addition growth. And so we want to see that that barrier, actually, the barrier between being a spectator and moving into the witness area is really confidence. Spectators lack confidence. They're afraid to witness. They make excuses. They pass off the Great Commission mandate because they don't know who to share with and they don't know what to say when they do meet unbelievers. And they pass that off to gifted people or pastors or people in ministry. And so witnesses, we want to get them to that place where they're starting to train disciples. And the barrier that we see most often is the obedience barrier. They fail to obey the command of Jesus Christ to make disciples, and really the 7 general commands of Jesus. And also the permission barrier, where leaders fail to give permission to those that they're entrusted to be disciple makers and to be ministers of the gospel. And so when they pass this obedience and permission barrier, people become starters or planters. And this is when we start seeing generational growth. But because oftentimes starters, they share the gospel, they start new groups, but they fail to pass on responsibility of disciple making. And so the growth stops at 2nd generation. And so we want to help these leaders get to the final level of being trainers. And this barrier really comes down to the vision of them having a vision for generations, as well as a focus on the future instead of on the present. And they're also needing a lot of support through coaching and training and mentoring as well. And so these trainers, they share the gospel, they start new groups, they start new churches, house churches, and they equip their disciples to be trainers that train other disciples to be disciple-making trainers as well. And this is when we start seeing multiplication, where one person leads a number of people to Christ, and then those disciples start making more disciples, and it just continues on to many, many generations deep. And that's the 4 levels of discipleship.